I am doing the reflection piece of my DEG task, which was on street arte. This task card was taught about 3-ish weeks ago, the week of January 20th, which also happened to be the week of the inauguration. It fell, I guess, perfectly. There was a lot of emotions within my classroom surrounding the uncertainty of what was going to happen. And so I used this lesson and tailored it so that students could feel both empowered and reassured that their voice has so much power and how we can use their voices for good. So it was important for me because I knew everything that was going on. Within this task card, I wanted students to focus on the symbolism within street arte, specifically street murals, and just to show that art is a form of storytelling as well. And so that is what I focused the majority of the lesson on. My focus question that I was going to pose during my micro teach was, when did you when did you find yourself playing your team role? When did you forget about it? And what could I modify to better reinforce roles? This was something that I wanted students during the micro teach to focus on, because when I taught my actual DG task card, I didn't notice very well like if students were staying within their task card, but I did see there was like it was pretty evenly split among the groups. I just didn't know if they were sticking to their role specifically, which in the end I don't think it mattered based off of the reflections that they gave me. Like the work was split evenly, everyone contributed and participated in different ways throughout the entire 3 weeks of the group task. But that was the question that I wanted to focus on. Also because I had a lot of roles. I wanted all students to have like either two, most of them had 2 roles, and then one in each group had 1 role. And so because of that, I was wondering if maybe it was too much for them to focus on or to like keep in mind. So that was, I think, what I wanted feedback on. But in the end, I think students did well with what they had. Yeah, how would I answer my own micro teach question and what feedback would I give myself? Maybe just condensing it. I know a lot of people in their micro teaches only gave out 4 roles, which is like 1 role per person or less, depending on how many people they had in each group. And I think that allowed students to just kind of hone in on like their one task or one job that they had to do. But I guess that would be the feedback I would give myself. Yeah, for example, if your micro teacher I think it went well. I got a lot of feedback. At the end of the lesson, I gave a reflection paper, and I was able to see how well students understood the content that I was teaching and how they applied it. And they also got a moment for peer feedback where they got to express if they felt that the workload was divided evenly. And I got pretty honest reviews on that, or responses on that. And most said that it was split evenly. Some, I knew that they were going to be struggling with certain partners, and so of course the responses was like, oh, I wish I had more support from this peer, or like I felt like this peer didn't contribute much, which is something that I'm going to work with like throughout the semester, with like changing their seating arrangements and stuff like that so that they have more balance in their groups. I got feedback on me on how I taught. One person did say that the instructions, or like the questions that I asked on the task card itself, were a bit confusing. Maybe because they were too wordy, or maybe I used words that were too big in like a sentence for students to comprehend. So that's another thing that I can reflect on and change for following lessons. Other than that, I got a lot of thumbs up, like this was so fun, Miss Bree. So I felt good about that. And their end product was creating like their own mural, which was amazing to see. Each group, I had 6 groups, 6 different murals that they created, and like they explained the symbolism behind it. There's a whole presentation aspect too. They were very nervous and hated me for it, but in the end they felt really relieved and really happy after they presented. And I'll show one of the murals. Well, they all voted on like what mural they liked best and what, based off of the description and the symbolism behind it, not just because they liked how it looked. And they gave their reasoning on post-its, which is something that I also did kind of on the spot that day. But they chose the mural that belonged to the group that was working on Ecuador, and then that mural I turned it into a sticker, which was so cool, and they thought it was really interesting. But I'll show you guys. Like, where did I put it? This is the one that won. You see right here. But I was really impressed with the way that their language developed throughout this. There was a lot of language scaffolds and sentence frames that they got to use. But yeah, I think overall I feel very proud of the lesson that I created and how I extended the task card into like a 3-week unit basically. But other than that, I mean, I feel content with what I have and the feedback that students gave me.